My name is Andrew Boge, and I'm a PhD student at the University of Iowa in Communication Studies. My research specifically focuses on the rhetoric of race and racism with a particular attention to temporality and social change. This summer, I had the opportunity to serve as a Humanities for the Public Good intern through the Obermann Center for Advanced Studies at the African American Museum of Iowa. I was able, through the generous funding of an Andrew Mellon Foundation grant, to help research the ethics of slavery education for the museum, but also draft some preliminary program designs for an Underground Railroad education program specifically for high school students. And so my work this summer was first focused on creating an accessible research report about the ethics of slavery education, of teaching racial history, but also research on pedagogies that could inform how the museum develops education programs in the first place. So I did a deep dive into decolonial and anti-racist pedagogies and created a report that's meant to inform the museum on how to create education programs that account for the fraught history of teaching African American history and slavery that has always been linked up with preserving the United States ethos. And then the second part of my work this summer centered around drafting preliminary program designs for an Underground Railroad education program. And so I specifically created programs that accounted for the way the Underground Railroad has been peddled as a largely sanitized and whitewashed narrative of benevolent white people helping escaped enslaved peoples, and actually trying to have students craft counter narratives to better understand how the Underground Railroad was actually largely operated by escaped and freed Black folks, and how the Underground Railroad was a testament to Black folks asserting their humanity. And so as a part of drafting these program designs, I was able to apply all of the research that I did to creating an education program that was truly decolonial and anti-racist, and taught students not only the history of the Underground Railroad, but also allowed them to be active participants in taking ownership over how African American history has been sanitized and controlled by a particular group of people that wants to maintain power in the United States. And so I had the opportunity to interview a wide variety of museum educators, faculty members across the country, and also traveled to the Disabled Museum of African American History in Chicago, which is the sort of closest equivalent to the African American Museum in Iowa. And while I was there, I had the chance to talk with some museum educators about how they conduct research in a predominantly Black part of Chicago, but also was able to reflect on the history of African American museums traditionally born out of Black organizing, and the importance of telling Black history in a way that accounts for the historical disenfranchisement and marginalization of this population. And so through my work this summer, I had the opportunity to apply my own training as a humanities PhD student, but also help work with the African American Museum to create education programs that participate in this radical act of resistance of telling the stories of African Americans in the United States.